It's starting to feel like 626 Day is the one day of the year where everyone loves Stitch, and then it's like the rest of the year people like say he's annoying, or just like that they don't like him, or that he's on like every piece of merch. Happy 626 Day or Happy Stitch Day. And something really cool about this year that it's double Stitch Day, because June 26th, June 2026. So it's double Stitch Day, which I love Stitch so much. Today I wanted to make a video just sharing my love for Stitch and kind of how my love for Stitch started. So I'd say my love for Stitch started when I realized I was autistic, and especially growing up, like not knowing I was autistic and had ADHD, like I always felt kind of different, or like it just felt like it was so hard to just like fit in and be like everyone else. And it almost seemed like things were just easy for everyone else, and it was like the exact same thing would be so hard for me, like especially in school. Like it didn't matter like how hard I tried at different things, it just like everything was always like really, really hard for me, and it didn't seem like it was as hard for other people. And I feel like Stitch is a really good representation of just like how being different should be something to celebrate and not something that people like tear apart and like are just mean about. And especially like I feel like Stitch for me represents kind of like the autism side, where it's like I don't mean to like do things sometimes, that just like my autism just kind of like takes over, and like, you know, whether it's like I'm in a bad mood or like my autism, it's almost like every like your senses like are just so heightened that it sometimes just is so hard to just like do basic functions. And it's like you don't mean to be bad, but sometimes you do things that you don't always like that you do. And it kind of feels like whenever you first see Stitch and he's like destructive, like it feels like that's the way people view people with autism, is like that they're just like destructive and like cause problems and are just like the problem a lot of times. And then I feel like when you see Lilo and how she views Stitch, is like I feel like that is such a beautiful representation of like the people that truly accept you and like your family, that they love you like no matter what, and like Ohana means family. I feel like Lilo is such a just beautiful like representation of that like, yeah, autistic people have a lot of struggles, but there are people that love them and love who they are, and like, you know, they don't need to change who they are to fit in and be accepted. And also I feel like for me, like Lilo, I think people say she's like autistic too, but like for me she kind of represents like ADHD side of stuff, and where it's like I feel like sometimes my ADHD like tries to cover up my autism and kind of like suppress it. And I think that's part of why like I didn't realize I was autistic till like I was an adult, is because like I was so good at masking stuff and like acting like things didn't bother me. And I feel like Lilo is kind of like that, where it's like she tries so hard to fit in and be like everyone else, that even though like she is different. And I think also like aside from autism, ADHD stuff, the movie is so beautiful about like showing you that just because you are different, that does not mean that you are bad or like that that's wrong. Like everyone has their differences, and we should really celebrate each person individually for exactly who they are. Like they shouldn't have to change who they are just to make friends or just to fit in. Like who you are is something so special, and like no one can take that away from you. And it just like, let yourself be who you are. Also, like, before I realized I was autistic, like, I like Disney. Like, I like Disney. But I feel like the realizing I was autistic, it almost like, in a way, feel like I, for once, gave myself permission to love the things I love. And, like, I'm not just talking like, oh, I like Stitch. Like, no, like, love. Like, have all the Stitch stuff or just have all the Disney stuff in general. Like, I've always liked Disney, but I feel like really celebrating me and things I love has like allowed me to love stuff at a deeper level, and it's not just like surface level of like, oh yeah, everyone likes that or everyone likes this. Like, no, like I really like Lilo and Stitch and just the message. And I'm thankful for my Ohana that love me even when I has a bad Stitch day. Because like I think the thing with Stitch is like the littlest things could upset him, and that's what I feel like too, is like very little things like cause me to just like have a meltdown or just be like so upset about things, and they're so little. And I know exactly what I was gonna say. Sometimes when I do get overwhelmed and upset about things and have a meltdown, especially like when you're in public, it always feels like, and I know I don't, but it just always, it feels like you ruin stuff. And I feel like that's kind of how Stitch is. Like, it's like he doesn't mean to ruin stuff, but he just, like, it's, he can't help it, you know? And I feel like we need to view like autistic meltdowns and different autistic traits as that way too, is like your body is just processing so much that it's okay to cry. It's okay to have a meltdown, because that like lets your body process stuff in a way that it needs to, instead of like letting that just like build up. And like I know, like, you exactly where you are is beautiful and loved, and you shouldn't have to or want to change anything about you. And Stitch is just like a comfort character for me too. Like, I just really love him, and that's all I can just say. Just, I love Stitch. And I guess I just wish people would just take the time to, like, there's different parts of like Disney that aren't my favorite, but I'm not like bashing people because they like a certain thing. Like, I don't watch Star Wars, and I'm not over here like bashing people because they like Star Wars, because like Star Wars fans are like, I feel like pretty equal to like, if you love Star Wars, you like love Star Wars. And I feel like if you love Stitch, you like love Stitch. And just, I feel like Stitch receives a lot of hate that maybe isn't like necessary. And obviously people buy Stitch stuff, so that's why they keep making Stitch stuff. Because I know like a lot of people get so irritated, like, oh, Stitch is on everything, Stitch is everywhere, blah 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 blah, I don't like Stitch, blah 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 blah. But it's like, okay, if people weren't buying it and people didn't like it, Disney wouldn't be making all this stuff. So obviously people like it. Oh, I know, I wanted to connect back to the whole 626 day and people like accepting Stitch and liking Stitch. And it almost feels similar to like Autistic Acceptance Day or month. I think there's like both. Where it's like, and this can be across the board for like every single month, day thing there is that celebrates a particular group of people, is like, it feels kind of the same as in like there's these one specific days or months where people will accept, or people pretend to accept people for the way they are, whether they really are or not. And then it's like the rest of the year, it's like they aren't accepting of that group of people. That makes sense. I don't know. I just feel like I've just kind of made that connection today, that it's like, I feel like there's days where people say they will accept people, and then you turn around like the very next day or the very next month, and it's like, oh, why do you have to be like that? Oh, why do you have to do this? Oh, why are you like this? Why are you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, maybe the other connection is like, I feel like even if when I don't say I'm like autistic in videos I make, I feel like sometimes I receive unnecessary hate for just being me. Like, I would receive hate for saying like or words like that, and it's like, that's just how I process like what I'm saying. And just like, I feel like I receive a lot of hate that's partially related to being autistic. I made a video on this, it's been a while, but I feel like part of the reason why it's been so hard for me on social media to like grow any type of following situation is literally based on like my autism, ADHD, is just because like I'm different. I know I'm different, and I love myself for who I am. And wait, where was I going with this story? I'm really just serious. Man, I really forgot. Okay, I was talking about, oh, I know what I was gonna say. I feel like it's kind of the same with like the amount of hate that like the amount of hate, or the amount of hate that like Stitch stuff receives is like, I feel a similar with that, with me getting hate online because I'm autistic, and like I might not say it, but like just the way I present myself is just different than other people. That's what it was I was gonna say. And it's like, I don't think people realize, like, Stitch isn't trying, I mean, after he's like good too, he's not like trying to be destructive, but that's just like how he is. And it's almost like, maybe this is a good point, it's like how he was created. Like, no one asked to be autistic, or no one asked to have these like different qualities, but that's just who they are, and you need to accept people for who they are no matter what. It doesn't matter. Like, acceptance, I feel like, would make our world such a better place if we could just love people for who they were and not try to change them and not try to fix them, and just let them exist as themselves. So, the end. That was long. I wasn't expecting it to be that long, but I love Stitch. Happy 626 day, and I hope everyone has a great day.